So, as with every DLC, the Twisted and the Twilight brings new maps to the Total War Warhammer universe. It's always nice to have new maps for campaigns, and also good to have ones that are usable for multiplayer, that aren't too one-sided. We're going to take a look at the 4 new land battle maps coming with the update. So, let us begin. WITCHWOOD Glade is our first map, and it's one of the Wood Elf theme. As we can see, it's taking place in the forest, but there is some lava kind of corruption going on in one corner, which looks very damn cool. Not quite sure who's caused that, or where that's coming from. I don't know whether that's Skaven who's done that, or Chaos, or Dark Elves, who knows. It's a very pretty map though. Lots of Wood Elf stones and ritual sites around the map. And we're looking at this from the Defender's perspective, as all these maps will be. So you can see we've got a bit of higher ground, we've got some trees to hide in, we've got a few kind of narrower areas with ledges, creating choke points. So some tactical areas to make use of if we want to. The lava looks damn cool. The colours are really nice on this altogether, I think, with the blue and the lava. And the attacker's deployment zone is very similar. You've got a few choke points you can create. There's this ritual site in the middle. Bit of a Stonehenge style setup going on here with a few more trees. Looks very nice. So that's kind of going to be in the centre to fight around potentially, or to use as a choke point. Not too many trees to hide in for the attacker though. Only that bunch up front here for the defender. Some around the edges though, which both will be able to make use of. So a pretty fair map in terms of the strategic layout. But there is some severe elevation for the defender, as you might expect. They're the defender, they get an advantage sometimes. So yeah, attackers are a little bit disadvantaged in this one. There is this nice little choke point in the middle as well. Should point that one out, a couple of little rock pools. But yeah, for that reason, for the elevation of the defender, I don't think we'll see it used in multiplayer too much. Certainly not in quick battles probably. Which is a shame because it is such a nice map to look at. With all this lava business going on. Probably a 1v1 map. You could maybe push it to 2v2. Got the nice little strategical points with all the ledges and stuff around. Unfortunately, one we probably won't use too much for multiplayer though, because of the defender advantages of having the elevation, and those trees at the front of the deployment zone are a kind of extra advantage that the attackers don't have. But a fun one to play in campaign all the same. Next to a Skaven map, and it's Hell Pit. Good old Hell Pit for Clan Molder is finally in the game. And I know what you're thinking, Zerk, you clown, this has been in the game a while. But I'm talking about the outside, you jacker clubs. We can now fight in front of the Hell Pit settlement, as well as inside it if you play on the siege map. But this is a land battle map, as you can see. It's pretty large, so a good one for 2v2s potentially. It's relatively flat as well. It's got some dead trees around, so those aren't really going to be much use as trees to hide in or anything. But there are various holes around as well for all the Skaven tunnels of the world. Although it's looking a bit Blight Town right now, if you're a Dark Souls fan. Let's see how deep we can go. Oh, how far can we go here? To there, okay. Thought we might be able to go all the way down, but no, just to here. Looks very cool though. But those will provide some obstructions that we'll have to fight around. There's that big hole in the middle, and then a few scattered around. So this should be a good one for campaign and multiplayer, as it's not too one-sided either way. You've got a few choke points with all the different bits. It's quite wide, you can see the edge of the map there. Nice big deployment zones. Not really too much of a difference in elevation as well. The attacker maybe has a bit of elevation there. You can see it's a little bit raised up over the defender spot, the yellow zone, but only a little bit. It does kind of have this slight defensiveness of the holes that it can use, as it's kind of closer to them. At least it's got 2 on its side, so it could use those as choke points, which the yellow deployment zone won't be able to do so well. But either way, it's mostly even. Not sure whether we'll see this one in quick battles. I wouldn't think so. Just because of the attacker having those few little holes to make use of to potentially turn into choke points. It's almost like the attacker has a more defensive spot than the defender does, so not perfectly fair. Overall, a nice map, not the prettiest to look at unless you look at the Hell Pit settlement in the background, but it'll be a nice one to play in campaign when fighting outside of Hell Pit itself. Now, let's get dark and foresty with the Wildwood Prison. Another Wood Elf themed map, of course, which is very nice to look at, very atmospheric, but is quite heavy on the trees, as you may have noticed. And, well, that's never a good sign, is it? How many people, raise your hand if you like fighting in the forest in Total War Warhammer? Nobody does. It's pretty horrific. So it's kind of difficult to really want to play on this map, especially because it's dark as well. Dark forest makes it even worse. So defender deployment zone, nice and wide, stretched quite long, but there is a lot of trees and obstacles in the way, so it's maybe not as big as it appears, so probably only good for 1v1s if you want to play in the forest, of course. Lots of forest for this defender area. You can hide all here, but there is some ledges around, which creates kind of platforms. There's some trees in the middle, and then there's another platform on the other side. So kind of a choke point with 2 platforms either side, which is pretty nice defensively. And for the attackers as well, they also have a platform, but it's one big platform rather than 2 at the side. So they've got a big central platform, very foresty. You can hide lots of stuff in there. The defenders are going to have to go all the way around to get you if you put a bunch of archers in there. So it's actually almost more defensive than the 2 over there, as it's a little bit higher up as well. Let's try and turn the trees off a second so we can actually see this area a bit more. So it's a very nice big area to place your army in. If you're playing Wood Elves and you get this spot, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good spot to rain down fire as the enemy tries to come and get you. Same idea on the defender's spot, but not quite as much height. Definitely don't see this getting much use in multiplayer because it is so foresty, and fighting in the trees is still really horrible. I actually made the suggestion to CA to make the trees like this, like a tree stump, when playing as the Wood Elves or Beastmen or any foresty faction, to give them the advantage that they can actually see more in real life, where other factions wouldn't be able to. I thought that would be a good way to make forest fighting a bit more fun, because there's no real good incentives to stay fighting in the forest for the Wood Elves. They get some buffs and stuff, but it's not fantastic. But there's a few other obstructions around, whatever the hell this is. And then there's some kind of hobbit cave over here. Looks very nice though, tucked away with all the little runes or whatever around it. Got the fancy elfy stones. I don't know anything about Wood Elves lore, so I have no idea what those are called. Do let me know in the comments if you do know, if they do have a name. But yeah, it's a really nice map to look at, like I said, very atmospheric, but I think it's going to be a pretty horrible one to fight on, mostly just because of all the trees. The platforms itself and the defensiveness of both sides is pretty cool. Be a fun one for campaign, but like I say, multiplayer, can't see it really being too big of a hit because of trees. And finally, to the Witchwood Hollow, a bit of a Skaven and Wood Elf themed map. As you can see, we're somewhat in the forest, but there's this weird ball of warpstone goo. I have no idea what it is. Maybe it's some of Throt's mutagen stuff for his labs, who knows. But it looks like it's being pulled together by some Skaven looking pillars. There's also some Skaven tunnel holes around. So yeah, bit of a dual themed map, which is nice. And this is probably the most even map of the bunch. You can see one of these Skaven tunnels over here. A very nice looking warpstone glow. Smells good. Let's see how deep we can go. Not very far. Okay, never mind. I thought we'd be able to dive into that hole like the other one, but apparently not. But yeah, this is a nice even map. It's got some forest on both sides, a bit of a clearing in the center for this weird ball of dreams. But it does have those 4 pillars in the way, so they're going to be an obstruction to move around. A little bit of a hill on this section as well, so that's kind of going to be something to fight over. Trees for the attackers on either side. Not too much in the center, a little bit out in front. Same thing really for the defenders, a few more trees perhaps, but still very much the same, neither with any kind of height advantage. Map comes only to here, okay, looks like it went out a bit further there, but quite a small map I guess, given the kind of central territory to fight over, so maybe only a 1v1 map really. But it looks like the fairest of the bunch, so going to be good for multiplayer and campaign. You can fight over who gets to keep the green ball of dreams. So a fairly symmetrical map, nice and even. There are some trees in the center as well, which both sides could make use of. The green ball of dreams, very mesmerizing. Let's have a look inside. Whoa. Oh, whoa, okay. Don't look in there. I think I saw the future for a second, and all I saw was guinea pigs, so don't just stay out of the ball of dreams, okay? We've got these little hills in the corner. Corner camper's dream. Not only is it a corner, it's a hill, and it's got trees. All the corner campers are rejoicing, the little bastards. There are a few holes here as well. Symmetrical though, so both sides have an obstruction to move around, which is good. Can provide some tactical play there, but yeah, a nice map overall. Probably the best of the bunch in my opinion, as it does have that memorable ball of dreams and is the most symmetrical. So going to be good for multiplayer. Look forward to playing some stream battles on this one, the Witchwood Hollow. So there you go, 4 new maps coming with the Twisted and Twilight DLC update. Let me know what you think of them. I'm always curious to hear the general consensus on new stuff. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the future.